Spider-Man, the biggest, most famous, and highest-grossing Marvel property. We can assume its success from fact that his supporting character Venom's first film earned more than most of previous Sony Spider-Man film and outnumbered many Marvel films like Iron Man 1 and 2, every Thor film, every Guardian of Galaxy film, every Fox X-Men film, whole DCEU except Aquaman, the first 2 Captain America films, Man of Steel, every Ant-Man film, etc. Till now, there have been 8 live-action Spider-Man films, but there's one film that stands out, the film that suffered the greed of Avi Arad and Sony Corporation, and that's The Amazing Spider-Man 2, also called TASM2. In this video, we are discussing this film and why, if Sony's greed has been controlled, this could be the best Spider-Man film to be ever made. The year is 2014. Recently, Captain America has released and has been positive received with critics praising Russo brothers, with Captain America still in theater. A new film releases in next month, featuring a more popular and a character with more cinematic appearances appears, but even having films earning more than any contemporary superhero, this film fails to replicate that success and fails to outgross Captain America. But what went wrong? Why this more appealing and popular character failed to get good and positive reviews, and even though it make a profit, still caused end a promising franchise, and this character being introduced in Marvel's cinematic universe within 2 years. Well, the character is Spider-Man, and the film is The Amazing Spider-Man 2. The film stars Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone, who portray their characters the best they could, and good performances from actors like Jamie Foxx, and only him still struggles at box office. Let's talk about its good and bads. The goods. Realistic web swinging. The web swinging in this film is better than literally any other Spider-Man film. Not even Tom Holland's swinging that realistic and good as thus this. Mark Webb and the editing team have done phenomenal work to create the feel of Spider-Man. The movements, design, and acrobatics are perfectly aligned. You can't ask for more than that. It was that good that nothing can beat it, not even Tom's swinging. Times Square scene. The Times Square scene is alone better than most of Marvel's scenes, the cinematography, the feel of New York. By the way, do you know they created the whole New York on the set? Yeah, that's right, and it was digitally recreated. According to Jerome Chen, the visual supervisor, it took 40 hours to render one frame of New York. And that scene is just phenomenal and great. The feel of Electro, the Spider-Sense shot, and the fight between them are just absolutely magnificent. Final fight. Electro and Spider-Man only face off 2 times in the film, yet both of those shots and scenes are just marvelous. The final fight in the grid is just crazy. The effects, the sync of Electro with his theme, and the slow-mo scenes are just too good. Also, the way they visualize the death, if Gwen, was phenomenal. And the redemption arc based on that in no way feels completed, and I'm gonna say it no matter what others think. If we consider individual Marvel films, this film has the fucking best final fight. Not that Oscar-winning Black Panther can have that great final fight. It's just hats off Sony. Fuck it, hats off to Mark Webb and the crew, artist, and everyone that worked on it. Another thing that just keeps me pumping up is the background score by Hans Zimmer and his Magnificent Six. The Electro theme, the intro music, and the score just fit perfectly with the film and every character. The Electro theme specifically just hits way harder than any other villain theme, and the fact is that even though both Spider-Man 3 and this film are regarded as not-so-good films, the music is banger. The intro Venom and Sandman theme is Spider-Man 3, and the Electro theme is just absolutely good. Now let's talk about overall CGI and visual effects. These, and generally every Sony-made Spider-Man film, has good CGI. The train fight from Spider-Man 2 still holds up, and the Spider-Man trilogy also doesn't have the bad CGI problem, which was a major problem in early 2000s films. Talking about this film has one of the best CGIs I've ever seen. The visualization, the cinematography, the effects, and the waves of electricity are just good and better than most Marvel films. According to 2014 standards, the CGI is best. I wish it could get more recognition. Even in 2024, the visual effects is far better than any Marvel film. I mean, look what the fuck is happening here. And this eye, oh my god, this is just unbearable and not that good. So overall, CGI is fucking awesome and still holds up. Acting and chemistry. Now let's talk about another strong point of film, acting. The performances of Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone are just great, and the chemistry between them is just far better than any other chemistry, like better than whole MCU in my opinion. Jamie Foxx also portrays Max Dillon and Electro very well, and the Times Square part where he was scared and afraid was just good. As for others, I am saying that it's not that Dane DeHaan and Paul Giamatti are bad actors, it's because they are not necessary in the film. And even if they are included, the script or the part they were featured in was not that good and can be easily edited out of the film, and this makes them less important than others. And now the bads. Unnecessary stuff. The main problem of the film is unnecessary stuff added, which is not that great and doesn't add any value or importance. For example, the whole point of adding Green Goblin is to make him kill the Gwen, and for Rhino, it's just nothing. He is just there. Rhino, let's talk about him first. Rhino, or Alexei, is a Russian goon working for the Russian mafia who then got caught. Spider-Man catches while at the same time juggling through New York. After few days, weeks, he is approached by the gentleman who takes him out and puts him into a mechanized suit resembling a rhino, thus the name. Well, according to me, he doesn't play kind of that latter Rhino part, including his chase. And then Spider-Man webbing is where they should have been stopped and let his story continue in either Part 3 or the spin-off Sinister Six they were planning at the time. It feels like they just added him to rush out a Sinister Six film, like they wanted that film to start directly from this Spidey Rhino fight where other villains also come to fight. And even though they added it still, they shouldn't have revealed it into the trailer. They should keep it under the wraps. Revealing him was like revealing Thanos' snap in the Endgame's trailer.
Not a great plan.
They also edit him out completely, and the movie would be more fine and streamlined. Goblin. Now there's what Sony really crapped. Adding Harry Osborn wasn't that bad, but making him Green Goblin in the same film was
Not a great plan.
Like Rhino, they could make him a villain in the upcoming Sinister Six or 3. Perhaps they can also cut out Harry stuff. Him wanting the blood doesn't fit that much, and he also comes out suddenly. We don't get any reference in Part 1. Nothing. At least we can say for Rhino and Electro, they something to fight for. But Goblin, he's just wanted Spider-Man's blood, and that's where he fails. Goblin is much like Joker. He doesn't want anything. He's just lunatic and wants to hurt Spider, but this Harry isn't that lunatic. It even feels worse than Raimi's new Goblin. At least he realized that he's not like his father and shouldn't go that way, but this guy doesn't know what to do, and that's where he should not be Goblin. The Gentleman. Okay, believe me or not, but this is better than Nick Fury. He's just mysterious, comes out from nowhere, and tries to assemble a team, and that's what Nick Fury should like. Mysterious and dark. Still, this guy is just what Sony had in the name of someone like Nick Fury. Instead of hiring heroes, just hire villains. Sony got plenty of them. Still, he's great and could have a bigger role if this franchise wasn't canceled. Richard Parker stuff. Another thing that just doesn't fit is Peter and his parent mystery. Sony was trying to create multilinear stories, something like The Dark Knight, having mystery, action, and comedy romance under one film, and that does not fit that great. In the first film, that part was just bearable, but in the second, it just felt rushed and forced. They can easily take that stuff out and nothing will change, but still, there are many things interconnected in these two films that can get revealed if the series is continued. Still, they should have removed it. Screenplay and story. Honestly, I would say that they can refine and tighten the story a little bit more, removing unnecessary bits and adding more of Electro, and possibly giving Harry a little backstory would have been good. But if that happened, Gwen's death can get delayed to the third film or in the Sinister film. They try to add many characters and world building. They overstuffed it to launch several films based on this one film. I also feel they were trying to replicate The Dark Knight, adding multiple storylines, characters, and a villain in the end, while The Dark Knight manages to do so. This film struggles because of that. So in my opinion, by refining the story a bit, the film could have been much better. Electro. Electro is a strange case. He's both good and bad point, and while he may be more visually striking than No Way Home, he's way underutilized and poorly developed in this film. We just see his fetish for Spider-Man, but then suddenly his motive changes from, "Hey Spidey, you remember me," to "Fuck you Spidey." And that is where I said, what the heck, he doesn't have any motive? He's confused, and suddenly he's on mission to destroy the entire grid. I mean, why? And he was eventually defeated. If they had given Rhinos and Goblins screen time and added a little more backstory, it could be better, and it'll add more depth to his character. Conclusion. I think I've covered everything from good to bad, and honestly, I would say that this film has very high highs and very low lows. Some points exceed the bar, like the VFX is still better than any present-day Marvel DC film, mostly, and the chemistry between Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone is very good, but the film lacks in the villain and story departments. Honestly, I would say that it's not the worst project Sony had made. That award's winner is well known, has changed twice, and was recently overthrown by a DC film, but it could be the best one Sony has ever made. And how if the greed of Sony didn't overtake the desire to make a cinematic universe and perhaps refined a story like I'm doing in my version of the story, it would have been good. Another thing that Sony could have done was consult Sam Raimi. I know it's a bit weird, but that's what DC did. They consulted with Chris Nolan for the making of Man of Steel. And at last, let the director do what they want. Don't interfere and add stuff that doesn't add anything meaningful. And the one who is to blame here is of course Avi Arad, a fucking moron who has ruined major films like Spider-Man 3, X-Men 3, a lot of Sony projects, and the latest overbombed Borderlands. He's not a filmmaker. He just adds stuff that'll boost merchandise sales. And that's what he did again and again in 2007 and then in 2014, adding way too much to little success, or mostly failures. The latest Sony Spider-Man universe is also a reflection of deeds Sony did with their franchises like Ghostbusters and Bad Boys to milk them, and that's concerning for the future of Spider-Man and its characters. Final rating. After rewatching it, I tried to understand what original vision Mark Webb had and what could have been the film. Still, in its current state, I would like to give the film a 7/10. We're based on 10 divisors. Here is my breakdown. That was a breakdown and full retrospective review of The Amazing Spider-Man 2 directed by Mark Webb. This is Superheroes Hub. For more, subscribe.